Okay, so issue filtration. So once the issue has been filtered, classified, well, then you are actually saying that some issues are really not that important. Some issues are actually something that you need to worth is really urgent. Sometimes is really worth taking note of. So so this is an exercise that gets your organization to really really look at the project environment. You see, so what is it that is involved? So we spoke about that the other day quite extensively. So then after that, in the theory way, you have to define those issues and look into the relationship with the issues with your project later on, of what the idea is, whether it can be a go ahead or not. Okay, so once the issue is being identified very clearly, and then you are actually going to study the impact of those issues. So it's a to and fro thing, you see. So impact assessment is that you are studying how the environment will affect your project and how your project will affect the environment. So you are not really looking at environmental issues, you're also looking at many many other issues, you see. So financial, political, legal, and all these are more or less what we have gone through the other day. Okay, and then so this is a formal way of studying. So you are blending in your EIA, you're understanding your project concept. You're understanding your project concept here, which is pre-feasibility studies. We're really not doing any feasibility studies yet. We're just studying the potential issues, we're studying the hindrances, any legal issues, any land title issues, any NGOs, any culture, any environmental, any health, any safety. So you're coming up with this and you're trying to understand. This is pre-feasibility studies. Okay, so we're not doing any feasibility studies yet. Okay, so you don't go into feasibility studies. So our mistake is we usually like to jump into feasibility studies and do our feasibility studies, but actually it is not right. And many people also take environmental impact assessment as just environmental. They're looking at the flora, fauna, air pollution, waterway pollution, river pollution, soil erosion, cutting down of trees and all that. Well, that is not all it is to it. Okay, so then after that, some issues actually will actually be, like here, we talk about crown land. This is not in Malaysia, it's not crown land. We have a lot of issues on native land. So maybe we can change this word to native here. Okay, so yeah, if it's London, England, and all that, I think you're talking about crown land. Okay, so and here these are the, you need to assess this, you need to screen this through, and then do a preliminary assessments and all that. So EIA, basically you have to answer these questions. What will happen as a result of this project? What will be the extent of the changes, and what does the changes matter? What can be done about them? Can the decision maker do something about it, and how can they be informed what needs to be done? So you see, you don't just start a project, because we mentioned the other day that there is two split here. One is the government infrastructure project, whereby it's paid by the taxpayer money for the good of the people. Another one is by organization, whereby they're developing malls, houses, shop lots, high rises for the sake of profit making and all that. So you need to really split these two up very clearly. Most of these studies, when it's coming to do with a lot of this infrastructure project, is a total different ball game. It's a different way of looking at things as compared to a private developer who is actually looking into more of profit making and all that. So well, then their issues are very very different, and also they are looking at it in a different perspective. But of course, they are not a standalone, they are not an island. Like, you're not building something that is out of nowhere. So they still have to adhere to authority requirement. They also have to adhere to the public's need. They also have to adhere to the current soil conditions, the surrounding site, surrounding pieces of land around them, and what has been done and what has not been done and all that. So these are all a study. Okay, so from issue, you identify those issues, you put them through this environmental impact assessment. So this is a very very clear, specific way of assessing whether at this stage, your project is actually okay or not, your idea is okay or not, can be done or not, that is the kind of questions that you have to answer, and then yeah, these are all standards of problems experience. So this whole slides here is about doing these pre-feasibility studies, which includes issue analysis. So what we're doing now is we're really studying, what can impact the project, how the project can impact the surrounding, and then the answer will be, okay, now, do we really need to build this? Can we really build this? Are we going to go into a further step and coming up with, doing a real feasibility studies and viability studies on this idea, you see? So once the answer, of course, is yes, so there may be a lot of selection, whether it's this option or that option or that idea or that idea. One piece of land, you can build houses, you can also build shopping malls, you can also build shop lots. And there's a lot of things that is vying for the attention, of the funders' money, you see. So basically, we need to select the project very carefully. And then from the selection, what we are going to do is basically trying to like screen it and objectively see what is the best way of which option is the best. At this point in time, we really don't do any we don't really do a lot of number punching lah. So this thing, even though they say that you can do this thing, but then it's also without a lot of number projections, we probably can't do it, you see. So it may not be so good, it may not be so feasible to do it, but at the end of the day, what you're trying to produce here is a project charter. So at this point in time, a project charter, it describes the project, it describes the idea, it describes whether the project information, all the information that you can grab hold of, and then you try to do some initial information collection. Is all there. It's like a little report, to talk to the client and say that the client in-house can do this. A is this, B is this, C is this. This is a project. Which one do you want to embark on to? And then depending on the client's wishes, they will pick the right choice, or pick the choice that is most suitable for them, you see. So project charter is like a little documents or a little write-up, some sort of like a report on all the issues and the study. I may do a little activity with you on project charter, maybe a very, very small activity in terms of how you look at the issues and how you filtrate the issues, and how what sort of environmental studies should be done. I like to think of it as a picture, a big picture, that you're doing a systematic thinking, whereby you're putting your project in the center, and then you put all sorts of different issues, like legal, environmental, and all that. You list it down together, and then you do this linking. Some of them has very strong link, some of them have very weak link, and then from there you really understand the big picture about the project, and whether it is a possibly a good project to go ahead, you see. So this project charter will help decision making with the project owner, actually. Okay, so from project charter, we will move on to scope, what is it called, scope planning. Okay,